We are back with emergency room doctor and mom, Dr. Daria Gillespie, as we discuss women's health issues. And this time of year, a lot of folks are getting serious about dropping their weight, heading to the beach, heading on vacation. But there are a lot of wrong ways to do this, correct? I've given you two of them.
Yes, in the United States, we have a lot of wrong ways because there's so many trends. But there's two really big things. And you also asked me about some of the different keto diets and all. The reality is, if you're doing any diet where you're eliminating one food group, you're just finding a new way to eat badly.
Okay.
What I tell people, sure, whether they're on all these different ones, the real benefit is when you cut those processed and sugary foods, whatever diet you're on. Just stick to a wholer foods diet. Don't count your calories, just cut those, because when you're having those, you're in the sugar dependency cycle, and you could just as easily hold your breath underwater for 10 minutes as resist the next donut when you're eating all those processed foods. So just cut that. That's number one. And second is people say, I can do it on willpower alone. And if they don't, then they feel like a failure. Right. The problem is willpower is a finite resource. It gets tired by the end of the day, so you can't. So instead you have to say, where are places in my life that I'm really tempted to eat unhealthy? How can I change that so I'm not really using willpower?
All right, so cut the sugar, processed foods, and let's see where that gets you for this summer. Now,
Yes.
let's talk about getting outdoors and protecting yourself from the sun. You've got little ones, so
I do.
you know how important this is.
Yes, this is important for all of us, for the skin cancer course, and then keeping our skin looking youthful, and then for our babies as well, because their skin is so sensitive. So there's a couple things. I brought some of my my sunscreen that I use and my family uses. So this is what I use myself. Now I'll put it there. This one. So a couple of things you want to look for. There are mineral sunscreens, and that's titanium dioxide and zinc oxide. So those are really the very best. They're going to give you both UVA, UVB. So you want to look for broad spectrum, and then you also want to look for SPF. So this one says an SPF of 50, and this one has titanium dioxide, so I use it myself.
Okay.
For my kiddos, this one has zinc oxide, which may have it even a little bit better broad spectrum. So when I can for the kiddos, I use zinc oxide. And again, SPF of 50. And then here's a couple of others. This one has chemical broad spectrum sunscreen with avobenzone.
Okay.
So some big names, but really what you're looking for is SPF of 30 to 50 and broad spectrum.
Sensitive skin, though.
Yes, and here's another one for sensitive skin, and this one has a titanium dioxide as well. So old-fashioned ones in the past made us all look like with that little white lifeguard sheen, but they're so much better now. But there's a couple different rules people need to know. So they have to apply 30 minutes before they go out.
Okay. You
need to reapply every 90 minutes no matter what it is, and nothing is really waterproof. Even those that say they're waterproof, it means that there's still 50% left only after 40 minutes.
So when you're in the pool, how often should you apply?
If you're in the pool, you want to apply every 40 minutes or so. Bring the kiddos out. They need a water break anyways.
Okay.
Take them out every 30 minutes, give them some water, reapply, make them sit out for a little bit, and then they go back in.
A lot of folks gardening, taking walks, getting that exercise you talked about. Mosquitoes are bad.
They are, and the CDC is saying there have been so many more bites now. So I brought one prop for this. For when it comes to mosquitoes and ticks and all of those this year, there's a couple different things you can do. One is wear long sleeves, long pants, especially permethrin-treated ones. I was pregnant 2 years ago. I had to do the math for a second. 2 years ago during Zika, and to be more protective, I put on long sleeves. But then you also want to use something. This has DEET in it. This one is 15%. For kiddos, I stick to about 5 to 10% DEET, and for adults, 10 to 20%. One common error people make is they think that the higher percentage means it's stronger.
Right.
It doesn't mean that at all. The higher percentage means it'll last longer. So 10% will still last about 1 to 2 hours, 20% lasts half a day.
Okay.
So if you're only going out for an hour, use a lower percentage, and then when you come in, wash it off immediately to minimize the exposure you have to it.
And what about the products, the natural products they try and tell you that you should use, like the Skin So Soft and all of that? Is that effective?
So there are a lot of natural products out there, and really nothing compares to things like DEET, permethrin, picaridin. Those are the ones that are the strongest. So especially if it's the summer, there's a lot of mosquitoes. We're worried about West Nile and Lyme disease from ticks and things. You just don't mess around, and then just wash it off as soon as you're inside.
Okay. Kids outside, you know, they don't like to drink water. They want sugary, all kinds of Kool-Aids and all that stuff. So how do we keep them hydrated outdoors?
So number one, they don't need any of that stuff. Kids need water. And according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, unless they're doing a strenuous activity and they're playing football and they're wearing pads and all these things and they're really sweaty, they don't even need usually an electrolyte drink unless they're doing those sorts of things where they're really losing a lot of fluids. So what you want them to do every 20 to 30 minutes, because they're not going to want to come in to take a break, you want to come in, cool down a little bit, drink some fluids. So those kids 5 to 8 years old need about 5 to 10 glasses of water a day, or 5 to 8. And then teenagers and above need about 8 to 10.
Oh, wow.
And then there's us.
Yeah.
So an easy rule of thumb for all of us is to take your weight, divide it in half, and that's the amount of ounces you need to drink a day.
Oh, that's a good one. I like
all
that.
you need to remember.
Now, you've got a website that really outlines a lot of this information.
Yes.
What is that website?
So it's drdaria.com, and it's really because becoming a mom myself, you're a mom, and becoming all the health things we had to remember, it was so complicated, and I thought there has to be an easier way to do this. So started looking into it so people can go to my website, sign up for the newsletter, and pre-order my book for the fall.
All right, Dr. Daria,
So,
thank you so much.
thank
ER
you,
Dr.
Karen.
Mom, she's fabulous. So we appreciate your time. When
Thank
Public
you.
Affairs on Peach returns, we're going to talk about breast cancer diagnosis and treatment. So don't go anywhere. Get another cup of coffee. I think they can have two. We'll be right back.